Anyone who's here tonight who is an elected official or is running for office of any city, county, please come forward, give your name, what you're running for, and just 5 to 10 seconds, no more for the sake of time. Thank you very much. We'll start right here with Angela.
Hello, my name is Angela Powell, and I represent you on the Plano ISD School Board. I've been there since 2017, and I have represented our conservative values, family values. I've been a PTA mom for over a decade, and I've been on several boards. And this time, please vote for me again, and let's make it a landslide victory. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Chris Roberson. I'm running for Plano City Council, place 7. I'm a 20-year military veteran, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan. And I'm looking to make Plano, or whole Plano, conservative. Thank you.
You missed doing this? No.
Hello everybody, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott Grigg. I am still fighting for what I started for, working for, seems like years and years ago. To become the next tax collector here in Collin County. That office collects over $5 billion, and we currently have a collector that shows up maybe 8 hours a week.
Oh, yikes.
We need someone to protect that money. It's your money. You need someone there to fight for you.
Hi, my name is Lynn Walling, and I'm running for Plano Board of Trustees, place 3. I'm a lifelong patriot, and whoever controls the education of our children controls the future. It's time we put patriot values back into the classroom.
Hi, my name is Samita Voiku. I am running for PISD Board Place 1. I am an immigrant here from Romania, and education has been the #1 equalizer for me. And so I am here running to help the students see that it can be done. Place 1, Plano.
How young these kids are.
Hi everyone, Brittany here with Congresswoman Van Taylor's campaign. I won't give you a speech, I just wanted to say hello and thank you for having me.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Brugge. I am running for mayor of Fairview, and it is my goal to reimagine Fairview to take us into a future where we are more of a community and more united, and where we can redesign our little city to have a long and prosperous future.
Good evening, and thank you CCCR for inviting us. My name is Brian J. Magnuson. I am an educator, but I am running for city council, and that's at large. So I appreciate your support. I'm here to serve the people. Thank you.
I'm Kobe Owen. I'm running for Constable, Collin County Precinct 1, trying to keep it short. I'm from Collin County, and I'm for Collin County.
Hello, good evening. My name is Evelyn Brooks, and I'm proud to be an American. And I'm running for the Frisco ISD Board of Trustees to give parents back their power, to make decisions that are in the best interests of their children, rather than sitting back and being told what's best for our kids. So I hope that you'll vote for me if you have family or friends in Frisco ISD. I urge them to consider voting for Evelyn Brooks, Frisco ISD.
Everything Evelyn said was yes, yes, and yes. Everything, yes. It's time we put our kids first in education. My name is Serena Ashcroft. I'm running for place 7 at large in McKinney, so over the entire city of McKinney. I have 3 kids in the district. I've been a licensed realtor for 20 years, a PTO president, a private music teacher, and a huge child and children's advocate, a parent's advocate. Our rights are being taken, our children's rights are being taken. They deserve a quality education, and parents need to be listened to. So let's put children first above politics. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Chad Green. I'm running for place 3 with McKinney ISD. And instead of just talking about me, I want to talk about what we've uncovered this week. So we found out that McKinney ISD, the last time they had an internal auditor was in 2008. We do not have an internal auditor. We have a CFO. He does not report to the board, he reports to the superintendent. I cannot tell you how bad this looks because our external auditor that we hire every year and are required to do by law, we change companies every single year. So there's no, you can't compare with the year before. You don't have somebody in there that's learning the district. We've got this bond that's come out there, and the reason why we started looking at this is the bond, there's a $35 million new elementary school. I'm not arguing the fact that we may need a new elementary school, maybe. Okay, some of our elementary schools are only half full, but apparently we need a new one. They want to charge us $35 million for that. That's $583 per square foot. Frisco and Allen are building their elementary schools for $360 per square foot. I cannot justify this, okay? There's no way. And so I would encourage you on the first two propositions, A and B, you gotta vote yes on those. Those are Robin Hood monies that we gotta send back to the state. But on propositions C and D, vote no and put a shot across the school district's bow. Stop treating us like we're your piggy bank. Line item out the bond. I put in a request, I'm sorry, can I keep going? Okay. So, put in a request 3 weeks ago to the superintendent and deputy superintendent asking for line items on the bond. Not only did they not reply for 2 weeks, Monday last week I called in and I wrote in and I said, okay, now I'm going to FOIA it and I'm asking you for every document, every RFP, every RFI that you used to actually build this bond package that you say is costing, whatever this total price is. I have yet to receive that today. They have 10 days. They've got, I think they're counting Good Friday as a non-business day, so they got till tomorrow. I don't like this. So I would encourage you to call the people you know in McKinney. Talk to them about what's going on with our school board. I mean, there's nobody internal auditing anything that reports directly to the school board. Everybody's reporting up through the superintendent. That's just a horrible model. So please vote for me, vote for Serena. Evelyn over here, if you've got a couple of minutes, go talk to Evelyn. I talked to her 2 hours on the phone and she's awesome.
My name is Serrano Keith Baldeo. I'm the publisher of the Dallas Pulse newspaper. Very strange being on this side of the camera. And I had a conservative newspaper in New Jersey years ago. I took on the entire Democratic party there. That's why this story is interesting here to me. I went after judges, prosecutors, protecting 7 council members I had criminal charges against, Democrats, for going after me and my newspaper to censor me, to shut me down. It's a big story. And they tried to put me in jail, they tried to shut me down, but I fought them really hard. And now I came to Dallas with my wife, and I find the same thing happening here. There were Democrats pretending to be Republicans who I'm facing. I caught them defunding the police, giving them advice, helping them. And I decided I was gonna fight as hard here against the Democrats as I fought over there. And I'm in Dallas County. Thank you.
Thank you all candidates. I want to do a couple of shout outs for 2 candidates that are not able to be here tonight. As a McKinney resident, myself and a lot of y'all, we have to get some new blood in our city council. Not only with Brian Magnuson, who's here tonight, of course our McKinney School Board with Chad and Serena and Tony Congini, who wasn't able to be here tonight, but we need to get Tom Meredith elected to the McKinney mayor. And Stan Penn for District 1 for City Council. Our mayor here currently is a tyrant. He is horrible. He has come after me personally. He says that I am a racist, that I have said the N-word. That is never the truth. And he said that I assaulted him a month ago at the Dallas Jewish Conservatives mass burning celebration. Some of y'all heard me talk about that at our last event with Don Huffines. But we had video because Kyle over there was smart enough to think, well, if you're going to go over and talk to him, you better record it. So either George forgot that we recorded it, or Jeff and Patrick right there, they were witnesses, and Robert, our chaplain. So we had a lot of witnesses that night. And so Fuller is an idiot. And I will say that all day long. He is a corrupt human being. He even gave a thumbs up on Facebook for somebody who said, let's find out where Zach Barrett lives so we can go riot his house. I'm dead serious. And I will keep those pictures if I have to for any type of legal situation. Not that it'll ever come about that, but I have it just in case. An attorney, John Harden here in McKinney, has told me, just never know, just keep it for years to come if you have to. So, enough about that. So, now I will have our membership chair, Amanda Ames, come and speak a few words about what's going on down in Austin as a grassroots leader herself, and the feckless inability of anyone down there can never, not getting anything done.
I just want to read it.
Thank you.
I don't have my phone.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. Okay, I'll tell you, I am pretty fired up about this, so I am going to try and get through it without getting emotional, but y'all, Texas is in trouble. I'm going to start with membership. So let's go through the fun stuff first. I applaud you guys for being here tonight. I love looking out and seeing your smiling faces. I know I say this every time, but life is about showing up, and that's what you guys have done. My job as membership director is to give you the next step. And that is joining Collin County Conservative Republicans, if you haven't already done that. And I'm going to give you 2 reasons why it's so important. 1, we have got to lock arms with patriots. We have got to be in community with people who are standing for truth, standing for freedom, and standing up for the great Republic of Texas.
I didn't know if it would start.
Absolutely, guys. We've got to be around people. The second reason, and this isn't necessarily the fun one to talk about, but it takes a lot of money to run a campaign. And the candidates you just heard from, they are working so hard to get down there and represent you. You heard them. They want to represent you, and they want to represent your kids. It takes money to do that. The socialist left is pouring money into Texas, specifically North Texas. We have got to do the same. We are past the point of anyone saying this doesn't affect me, or I don't like to get involved in politics. We are past that. It is going to take every single Texan standing up and pushing back. So join your membership dues. That is what it goes towards. We wrote checks last night to multiple candidates for their campaigns. If you want conservatives representing you, you're going to have to write a check. That's just all there is to it. I know that's not fun to hear, but that is what we need to be doing to support them. And we are going to be, the exciting thing is we're getting more swag. You guys saw our shirts, tumblers, things are coming, so we're changing our price point. So if you want to get in at the discounted rate, tonight is your night. So come find me after and talk with me. You can do it online. It's a very easy process. The next thing Zach asked me to speak about was going down to Austin. First time I went down was March 24th. I have not been inside the Capitol since I was a kid. And y'all, it was completely eye-opening. I went on the House floor. I got to go into some press conferences, and you are free to do this. That's our house. Guys, we the people, that's our house, and those are our representatives. We elect them to represent our wishes, and they are not doing that.
Thank you.
We have got to take a stand. And so I was down there, and it was amazing. It was great being, the atmosphere, being in the Capitol, getting to see things, but I left with such heaviness because it is utterly disappointing at how little they are doing for us. We have 8 legislative priorities for the Republican Party of Texas. I have these cards. I'm happy to pass them out to you guys if you don't know what those are. Colonel Allen West talks about it all the time. Jill Glover's done an excellent job sharing that. Our priorities are not getting passed, and it's happening in other states. And I know people say, oh, they're really for this. I called every single committee member for calendars yesterday. I see some of you shaking your head. Talked to a lot of you who've been calling, and I applaud you. Called the calendars committee, every single person, and like, well, we're just so excited. You know, we may get this to the House floor for constitutional carry. How long has this been going on, guys? 2-3 decades that they've been trying to pass it? Guess who did last week? Iowa. Iowa. Are you guys embarrassed? I am. Texas should be leading the way, and we are middle of the pack at best. I called in, and they're like, I assure you that this rep is for 2A. I said, you know what? When it passes Governor Abbott's desk and it's signed into law, then your assurances will mean something. You're not working hard enough. And guys, this is on us. We the people have not been active enough. We've let them get fat, dumb, and happy down there. And they need to be reminded who they work for.
The boss needs to show up and remind them what they're supposed to be doing. It is not self-serving interests. I saw there was a bill sometime on March 25th that passed the House. They said they were so excited, Abbott just couldn't wait to get it on his desk. It was to continue selling alcohol to go in restaurants. Do you guys think that that's important? I don't. Not when our liberty is being taken from us. And guess who proposed it? A Republican who's a restaurant owner. Is that self-serving? Yes, it is. I hope you are fired up, but I hope you're fired up enough to do something. Because a keyboard warrior is not going to change anything, and griping to your friends is not going to change anything. The time for action is now. Our session ends at the end of May. We have very little time left to get some bills passed. Things like executive overreach, election integrity, without that, guys, that's the foundation. We have nothing. Constitutional carry. We have so many bills that have got to be passed, and they are not even making it onto the floor. So I don't care how nice they are, how for, the bill they are, they're not doing anything to pass it. So I went home and I told my husband and my good friend over here, and I said, guys, you have to see this for yourself. So we went back last Thursday. The behavior of the House reps on the floor, which they worked a whopping hour and a half, and then they voted to give themselves a 5-day break for Easter. They got real religious real quick. And we went down there and watched, and it was disgraceful. The way they behaved on the floor, and I don't have a lot of time, and I know you guys came to hear Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne and not me, so come find me after if you want to talk about it. But there are just time and time again, they were playing chicken and playing games with the voting system and laughing about it and cheering each other on. Guys, these are bills that have the potential to be turned into law that will affect you and your family. That is not okay. They need to understand that their actions have consequences for people like us. They need regular people going down there and reminding them of this. There was a conservative rep who stood up and was working to pass an amendment on a bill to ban gender modification. Y'all, they are wanting to make it legal to mutilate children. That is never okay. They need to be protecting our kids, not causing irreversible damage to them. And do you want to know what the Republican reps were doing? Mocking him, cussing him out, and ostracizing him. That should make you really mad. That's how they're treating someone who's working to pass legislation like that. I could tell you story after story. And on a normal year, that would be behavior unbecoming of a Texas representative. We are, what Kyle said, this is the greatest state in the country. We need to step up and act like it. And I know I need to get off, guys, but I am just so, but on a given year, this is poor behavior. But when we have tyranny and communism knocking at our door, this is unacceptable. And I know people are talking about Abbott signing an executive order. That is not enough. Did you guys enjoy living under his executive orders the last year? I didn't. Then we don't need that. You realize that if he, as quickly as he dropped it, he can rescind it. If he does that in June, we have to wait 2 more years for a legislative session. We need a law protecting us from government overreach. I don't care who is in charge. No one gets that amount of control over your life. We have got to stand up. I will give you 4 action steps. Calling your representatives, writing them letters, emailing them, and show up at the Capitol. We are organizing groups to go down weekly. I have my email up here. Please take a picture. Come find me afterwards. I know my husband is here. Greg, wave. Melinda is here. Wave. We are organizing groups to go down. Guys, this is too important. We have got to step up, stand up, and speak up. There is no experience needed. You just have to be fed up enough to show up. That's it. They need to hear from you. And when we were down there and we were talking to one of the officers, and he said, yeah, COVID hasn't stopped the lobbyists at all. They've been out in full force, and they love it because there's no competition. I say we give them competition they can't handle. It's time for us to show up. So the only question I have for you is, what are you going to do with this information? I can tell you I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to sit down, and I definitely won't be quiet. This is too important. So take down my email. You guys send me a message. I have a PowerPoint prepared of what to expect at the Capitol. I'm here for you, but we need to get going because we have a republic to save. Thank you.
Wisdom, encouragement. We need more men and women like Amanda who goes to Austin, or go to D.C., or right here in McKinney to fight the swamp that we got right down the road here with Mayor Fuller. In Frisco.
How do you
Yeah,
really
that, what, Jeff Cheney, is that his name? He's a rhino, isn't he?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Big rhino.
So,
There's no etiquette
I just
anymore.
kind of go on the fly here. Not all this is all scripted by any means.
Be glad you're on our side.
See this sign here? We showed it at our last event. We had Chad back there and Jordan, who couldn't be here tonight, one of our other board members, who wrote these bullets, these beliefs of what makes us conservatives here in Collin County. So if you can't read it from where you're at after the night, just come up here and read it, take a picture of it. But this is exactly what we all need to be standing for, fighting for, living our life. So just a quick story. So we have a chapter over in Princeton, and this was displayed 2 weeks ago, and the mayor of Princeton was there, and she told our executive director, Cindy Darlin, who is not able to be here tonight either, that she thought this was very disgusting. It was very right-wingish, abusive language. So basically, I guess what she didn't mention exactly which part, I guess the overall belief system, but probably what affected her the most was that we believe our freedom and foundations come from God above, Jesus Christ, not the government, not any elected official. From the city to the president, none of them. God is the only person, or the only thing that we adhere to. And in the Jesus Christ, the Word of God, the Bible. And so anybody who could say that, like this mayor of Princeton, Texas, she needs to be gone too, like as of yesterday. So, one last thing before we get on to our great speaker. I don't want it to embarrass them at all, but I'm going to have them at least wave. Last week, I'm with Brian Magnuson, our great artist and school teacher at Boyd High School. Hopefully we'll be on the city council before too long. We were having dinner last week at Lupe Tortilla, and a couple next to us at the table overheard us talking about how it's great not to be wearing masks. And make a long story short, they moved here to Melissa, to Collin County, back in January from San Bernardino County, California. No job here, didn't know anybody here, no acquaintances, no family, no friends. They just said, the hell with this, we're out of this socialist state of California, and we're moving to Texas. Leo and Raina, I just happened to give them my card. Wait, I just happened to give them my card. Did I really expect them to be here tonight? Yes, I guess it's 50-50, and there they are, here they are. So let's welcome these Californians to Texas. They're the ones who are not going to California up our Texas. They're the ones who we're not putting the billboard out on I-40 in Amarillo and says, hey, turn around and go back.
God.
So, okay, so I thought that would share that. Hopefully y'all didn't mind. We have the great Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne from the 24th District. This lady was elected back in November of 2020, took office January the 3rd. She, former mayor of Irving, if you don't know. She was former city council. You beat out Herbert Gerdes, is that his name?
Sure.
And then you beat him again for mayor. And you started making a name for yourself. She started making a name for herself when she was the mayor of Irving, and she kicked out Sharia law from happening in the city of Irving. And of course, when you stand up to the cabal, you're going to get labeled all kinds of different names. Racist, bigot, xenophobic, whatever, you name it. We've all been called that once, at least once. And now as a congresswoman, she's fighting the establishment. She's fighting Fort Pelosi. She's fighting, all the socialists, up there in D.C., the swamp. And we couldn't be more happier for her to be here tonight. I reached out to her, a month or two ago. I was fortunate to get her scheduled for tonight. But she's been a fighter against illegals. She's had them deported when she was mayor of Irving. She's going to discuss a lot of these things tonight that are affecting us right here in McKinney, Collin County, like what's going on at the border. Trying to hopefully we can get some laws passed to protect our elections. So, without further ado, Beth Van Duyne.
But you know what I had on my side? Folks like you. I had you who went out and you worked, you voted, you brought people to the polls, and this may seem like a little thing, but social media, I can sit back. Because when I watch people on Facebook, one person will come and attack me and I see 5 people go, It's a little thing, but I'm telling you right now, it means a tremendous amount. Because you don't let the lies lie. You call them out and you use your voice. I've often said, I don't want to go to DC when I just start kind of fitting in. If you don't have a backbone and you're not representing your district, you don't deserve to be there. So I love all of you. I love the passion. I love the voices. I love this, by the way. I read this 4 times and I can't figure out, is it God that she doesn't like? Is it, the creator? I can't figure out which of these she doesn't like. But look, we have a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. We don't have the House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the presidency. And what you're seeing is all these radical leftist agenda items getting pushed through because they can. We're going to have to put our foot down. We're going to have to work. And we're going to have to make sure in 2022 we can at least turn around the House so that we've got a backstop. Policies have consequences, and so do elections. And we're going to have to fight to make sure that our voices are heard and that other folks who are trying to take that away from us hear us loud and clear. So I also want to make sure that I have time for questions, because there's a lot going on in DC right now.
So
Nope.
we'll just pass the mic around. That mic is working, so we'll pass this one.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Before we get to the question, don't you love the fighting spirit? We need more men and women like this locally all the way to the top. Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again, we got to have more men and women like Donald Trump. I mean, she worked with President Trump. He endorsed her for Congress. We got to have it. I mean, if you don't have Donald Trump in you, then we don't want you. Right.
I was actually the only mayor of a top 100 city that endorsed Donald Trump. And and look, be honest, there was issues that I had with his campaign. There were things that he said I really wish he didn't say. But at the time, this was back in 2016, I said, I'm not comparing him to God. I'm comparing him to Hillary Clinton. And when you look at the economy, when you look at his national security policies, his border policies, what he wants to do with our foreign policy, how can you vote for her? Policies actually worked. They had a great effect. Look at all of the success that we had in the last two and a half years. His first 2 years were rough because he was having to fight the party nonstop. It wasn't like when Biden got in and everybody's bending over backwards to make sure everything gets pushed through. He had to fight our own party. But the last 2 years, when they finally came and woke up and realized that his policies were sound and they worked with him, look what was able to be achieved. So, I was part of his administration. I worked for Secretary Ben Carson for 2.5 years. I love that man. And they have done, they did a lot, which, by the way, we're seeing every day policies being flipped and turned, and it's sickening.
I just want to make a comment. Thank you so much. I'm Katie Singleton. I'm proud to be first generation American. And let me tell you, I'm glad to talk about borders because as an immigrant, as a person who was a refugee, who actually stayed in refugee camp, what they're doing right now is completely inhumane. What they're doing now about the kids and stuff, it is inhumane. When I was in a refugee camp, my family was vetted. We escaped communism. There's only 5 of us left. And I'm glad to be in America and not be in China, because what you guys don't understand, there's a difference between reading about communism and living and surviving communism. That's fact 1. And we've got to get fired up, like Amanda said, we need to go to Austin. This has got to stop. This needs to be America, not
socialist. Because if you want to see socialism, you come and talk to me. I was raised by my sister at 18. We didn't have a single parent that survived. And I'm damn lucky that I was in a refugee camp that was vetted. I got my vaccination. We waited years to come the right way. What they're doing now is a damn shame. Because people, what she's saying literally is able to get their money, ID, and so forth. We have family, literally, it's still waiting to come in here. And these people come in illegally, and we're trying to come in legally.
Yeah.
Illegals are getting special privilege. So if you are for immigrant, I say you stand up, you need to go to the White House and stop this nonsense. Because that's socialism, and you know it's about votes. Don't kid yourself. It is about votes. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Hi, Beth.
Hey.
I don't understand how the children get from wherever they live in Mexico or Central America, how they get to the border. Are they being kidnapped by the cartels? Are the parents giving them to the cartels so they can get entry into the U.S.? Are they being used as a diversion for the cartels to smuggle in drugs? How do the children get?
So yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what's happening, and it was, Tom Homan was telling me this, that there's complaints that this has been happening during the Trump presidency. It was the last 2 months of the Trump presidency. So what do they know in the last 2 months of the Trump presidency? That Biden was going to be the next president. They had heard all of the rhetoric during his campaign. So basically what's happened is drug smugglers working hand in hand with human traffickers. They advertise their services to families, desperate families, and other areas south of Mexico, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala. They advertise their services that they can get your child safely into the U.S., set them up. Then the parents can come join them at a later time. So they'll charge a X fee. But what happens is, so the parents give their kids up. Sometimes, there's a number of things. Some of them are kidnapped for drug smuggling. Some of them are kidnapped for sex trafficking. So yeah, there's all of that going on. But what we've seen is an upkeep on the market for human and sex trafficking. And basically, it used to be, as it was defined to me, used to be like a mom and pop operation. What we've seen is it's now Coca-Cola. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry now. They are very organized, they are very strategic, and right now they are advertising to all of those countries. They take advantage of families who are desperate to get their kids out of the situations. They pay them, and then they continue to be forced to pay more as they go out. And what ends up happening is if the families can't pay, yeah, they're definitely extorted, but if the families can't pay, when the kids get here, their sponsors aren't always family. They're not always friends of the family. Sometimes they're people that the kids are going to become indentured servants until they can pay off, which they can never pay off. And this, again, is what Democrats define as compassionate. It is evil. It is absolutely evil.
Well, I'd like to start off thanking you for all you've done. I still remember you back in the Clockboy days when that made the news, and that was very tough to stay strong, and thank you again. When I look at AOC, for example, although I can't stand any of her policies in the Democrat Party, one thing she seems to do that maybe we should consider taking a page out of is she sort of gets loud and she gets herself on the news and what have you. And I just wondered if some of the things you talked about, if some of our House reps could maybe make enough noise to become on Fox News or wherever and give more volume to these conservative causes. What do you think about that?
So I think that you've got a great point, is that she gets coverage. She gets news coverage. She gets news coverage because the narrative that they want to have out there is what she's spewing. The Green New Deal that is going to cost us trillions of dollars in the short term. Longer term, it's going to be lost opportunities, more trillions of dollars, jobs, potentially national security, depending on what happens with our independence on energy. But they love her narrative. You will see very few Republicans who aren't willing to voice. There's just no market for it. I've been on Fox a number of times, even if it means having to wake up at 4 in the morning, to be on Fox and Friends. I'm on there. We're on Newsmax. We're on OAN. But we're not getting a whole lot of offers to go speak on MSNBC or CNN. And when we do, it's for typically something that they're not even going to let us speak. They just want to have a body there that they can spew at and yell at and use as a backboard. But yes, you've got Lauren Boebert, you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, you've got a lot of Dan Crenshaw. You've got a lot of people who are trying to kind of take their own voice and be very loud and use it anywhere they can, which means creating sometimes their own, podcasts and news programs that they're putting out on their social media. We're trying. But we're also having to fight a huge multimedia machine that doesn't want to hear our voices, that does everything that they can to squash our voices. We came out with that video, Ted Cruz came out with that video. It wasn't until Henry Cuellar, right, on the Democrat side in Texas, came out with a video that people were like, oh wait, they've got a Democrat, maybe we should listen. And then it was over just as soon as it started. The atrocities that were happening at the border at that time a month ago are even worse now. But they're completely ignoring them. And where were they under the Trump administration? How many times did you hear kids in cages? And now they just change the word as if it's okay. And if they don't go down there and see it with their own eyes, it's not happening. The atrocities are happening. It's our job to expose them. That's what we're trying to do. And I appreciate you bringing up the kid that brought what looked like a bomb into school. My fault at that point in time was because I supported our law enforcement because they did the right thing. When I look at the cries to defund the police by weak mayors across the country, then they wonder why the murder rates, the rape rates, the suicide rates, and others have increased in their cities. It is a direct result of their disrespect for law and for the officers that, by the way, are enforcing policies that they put into effect. And I will continue to support our law enforcement. I will continue to support our police, and I will continue to talk against defunding police because it's the absolute wrong thing to do.
Hi, I was just interested on your perspective and your insight on the role of gender at the citizenship level with all of the different humanitarian, social, and economic dynamics that are being made, and from a recipient perspective of your experience as a men versus women.
Now, are you talking about changing laws for transgender, or are you talking about the idea that more women should run for office?
No, and thank you for the follow-up question. I'm looking for the topics around global warming, green energy, around the border, any and all issues that we see are being used to lobby for different bills and different movements socially, economically. And if you see a difference between women's participation at the rally, emotional, and at the citizenship level, and how that may be changing the dynamics. To me, those humanitarian causes right now, as I see represented, are very culturally kind of passionately expressed by women, and then it's really creating the kind of the mesh, right, and just the colliding of what that implies from an economic perspective, and at the community level, what that plays out versus the global level. And I'm just interested in the gender. I feel like everything's getting lost in immigration and in economics, and I just wanted to see from your perspective the constituency difference from men to women.
Gotcha, okay. So if you look at the numbers and you look at educated women in suburbs, they're more likely to vote Democrat, which completely blows my mind. Completely blows my mind. Because when you start thinking about things like defund the police and where their kids are going to school and the neighborhoods that they want their kids living in, you would assume they would want safe streets. That's an important family value that they look at. There were more women elected, Republican women elected to Congress this year than ever in our nation's history. That's awesome. But one of the things to take into account is none of us fought for identity politics and said, vote for us because we're a woman. I will tell you, when I was up for, I was the only woman that Irving has ever had as a mayor. I never made it an issue. I said, vote for me because I'm prepared, because I'm dedicated, I have a voice, I have a backbone, and I'll fight for the vision that you believe in. That's why you should vote for me. And what I've seen from the women that are up in Congress right now is they share those same beliefs. So a lot of times we kind of get exactly right what you were saying, is we get pigeonholed, right? We're only concerned with sex trafficking. We're only concerned with abortion rights. We're only concerned with yada, yada, yada. It's not true. I've been up there. I mean, I've seen these women fight on appropriations. I've seen them fight for border security. I've seen them fight for foreign affairs issues that has nothing to do with the soft, feely, things that we normally are putting women in. It's not true, but again, that's where you're going to see women's faces, because that's the face that they want to put on it. But I'm fighting for gun control issues, lack of gun control issues. I just think gun rights and Second Amendment is very important. I think all of us take when we get our oath of office, all of us, and I don't care if it's city council, if it's mayor, if it's county judge, if it's Congress, if it's president, all of us say that we will fight and defend the Constitution and the rights provided therein, which includes the Second Amendment. I was on the board for the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and they were trying to pass all these resolutions condemning gun ownership. And there was a small handful of us, because the majority, let's face it, of large cities have Democrat mayors. A small contingency of us said that we want to have a resolution that just says we support the Second Amendment. Okay, all of us have taken an oath saying that. It was a fight to get that passed through. It was a complete fight. But as far as gender issues, I think we need to see the character of the person, the ability, effectiveness of the person, and to make sure that they're strong. I'm seeing right now with a group that I'm in, the freshman class, they're phenomenal. We don't all agree on everything. We all have different interests. We all have different backgrounds, as we should. But you're going to see, I think, a lot stronger voices coming out and a lot more disparate items than you've seen in the past.
Very much for being here tonight. We've all heard how bad the DC swamp is. In your 3 months in DC, from an insider perspective, what is the number one thing that you've seen from behind closed doors that you'd say, wow, I've heard the swamp is bad, but this is ridiculous?
I don't have to just use my last 3 months, quite honestly. I would take into account the time that I spent at HUD, kind of inside the belly of the beast. When I became mayor, I pushed for an ethics policy. The city hadn't had an ethics policy before. Part of what I got passed in on the policy was term limits. And I know everybody's pushing for term limits of elected officials. They have to understand that the people who work, the bureaucracy, the bureaucrats that are there, know all they have to do is just wait you out. We can have a vote, but unless the people who are at the level of actually in charge of executing those policies do it, nothing will change. And so I remember being at HUD, and we were having some tremendous philosophical changes in our policies that never made it through. You couldn't fire them. There was no term limits on bureaucrats and how long they can stay. And I'll tell you right now, in DC, just as bad. So it's good to flip over our elected officials, as you mentioned, but the folks who are in charge of actually implementing policies have got to go too.
We got time for 2 more questions. We've already got 2 ladies who've already raised their hands, so we'll start right here.
I'm actually a constituent of yours. I'm from Euless. I'm so super proud of you. Thank you very much for all that you're doing. So I'm going to ask you one of the same things that I ask my state rep, Mr. Payson, all the time. Is, how can I help you? When I go to Austin, I walk into his door and I'm like, how can I'm going to be fighting for everyone else and all these other things. How can I, as a constituent, help you? What is it that you're trying to maybe, how can I help you?
God love you. Okay, I did not ask her to ask me that question. But now that you brought it up, simple things. I mean, when we need help, when we need a voice, I'm one voice. If the rest of y'all don't pick it up and start carrying that drum, my voice gets muted out. I mean, issues that we're talking about on Second Amendment rights being completely stepped on voter integrity bills being completely ignored, on issues that would save lives, on immigration issues. I need you all to take those messages and just keep stomping the floor with them. That is the only way, because the media is not doing it. A lot of our local papers are not going to do it. My job is to represent. Unless I hear from you, I don't know what that means. So I try as much as I can. We had roundtables today. We have business tours. We're talking, we're going out. But there's over 850,000 people in this district. And most of you are not in the district. But I'm looking at it, I want to, I'm not only just fighting for District 24, I'm also fighting for North Texas, I'm fighting for Texas, I'm fighting for our country. But I need to hear your voice. And I need your support when I need it. So often, there was a mayor, he was a Democrat, but I love what he said. He said, you know, the longer you're in office, the harder it is, because supporters come and go, enemies accumulate. And it's so true. People that I have, ticked off in the past because I took a hard, strong line, they still remember that. And they are still hateful. And when I decided to put, when I was mayor, when I was on city council, we didn't have a letter next to my name. We were nonpartisan. Everybody knew I was conservative. But we were nonpartisan. As soon as I put that R next to my name when I ran, I inherited everybody's enemies. When you look at my Twitter account, I can't do it anymore. I just can't, because it's like, if I look at that before I go to bed, I'm not sleeping that night. They're hateful. I don't know where these people come from. But you inherit all of those. So staying, when you see elected officials doing the right thing, support them. When you see them doing the wrong thing, don't hold back. But when you see them doing the right thing, support them. Vote. Get your friends out to vote. Be a voice. Get active on social media. That is helpful to all of us, because it is making the very, very loud, obnoxious, hateful, violent minority understand that they do not represent all of us. That we do have people who care about our country, care about our values, care about our family, care about our police officers, care about our borders, care about our national security, and are willing to fight for it. They need to hear that voice.
Thank you for this evening. We really appreciate you. Yeah. My question is the children on the border. We have adopted 3 children, so I'm seeing these kids. My heart is just hurting for what they're going through. What is going to happen to these children? Do they go into the foster care system? What's going to happen to these babies?
Did anybody see the video of the boy that was dropped off, that was just abandoned? Did anybody not have a tear when they saw that? I mean, I don't care what side of the immigration issue you're on. I mean, as a mom, God bless. I gulped. I mean, watching that poor kid completely abandoned, not knowing what to do next. What had happened during the previous administration was the ability not to have to separate families. That if you wanted to apply for asylum, you could apply from the first safe country that you went into. Whether or not that was Guatemala, whether or not that was Mexico, you applied for asylum there as a family. You weren't forced to separate. What has to happen now is the Biden administration, Biden himself, Harris, has to come out and say, now is not a good time to come. But has to say, if you want to come into our country, you will do it legally. There is no other path into our country, period. Because all they are doing is exploiting this highway of unaccompanied minors that are being completely exploited by drug cartels and human traffickers. By the policy of open up, we're going to be compassionate, is the worst thing they could possibly do. What they could do, what they should do, what they haven't done, is to be very loud, very clear, we're not going to do this. If you come to our borders, it's who hears them? The drug cartels and the human traffickers, which is why, because Trump took such a strong stance, you didn't see those massive surges on our border. They were controlled because we were enforcing our laws. We couldn't be exploited. Now we are completely vulnerable. What's happened to those kids? It is not going to get better anytime soon. The 171,000 to 250,000 people that we saw come into our country in March is only going to grow. The months that are going to get more and more and more are May, June, and July. It is going to be worse than it is now unless there is a drastic policy change. What they're trying to do is bring all these kids up. Once they get there, HHS, ORR, that it's responsible for taking care of them right now, are trying to find homes for them. They all come with these little bands because it is a multi-billion-dollar industry that have sponsors that they contact. Those who don't have sponsored either age out or they go for years going from home to home to home. It is horrendous, it's heartbreaking, it's not humane, and it needs to stop. I know you're giving me the boot. We gotta, yep.
Sure, I mean.
I just want to thank.
Is Biden going to finish the wall? That's been rumored. I
saw it. There's still, well, that was the question, because we went out there. We took a tour, and we saw where the border, where the border wall was. And if you talk to the people who are in charge of enforcement, they will tell you how much it helps. Because right now there are porous areas, miles, that are open, that people are coming in, and they're constantly having to patrol, and they're not there. So the border wall actually condensed the areas that people could come in. It's obvious. It's a no-brainer.
Can we donate our stimulus checks to build the wall?
I don't know the answer to that. And when I don't know, I say I don't know. But I want to thank all of you for your passion. I want to thank everybody for everything you do. I'm telling you right now, this is a battle that can be won. We have the numbers. We have the voice, we have to have the backbone, and we have to have the dedication to keep going. I promise you, as long as I'm there, I will continue to fight. It's the only thing that I know, it's the only thing I'm really good at. But God bless you, God bless you.
Beth Van Duyne, she's one of us. She is a true conservative. She's not just a Republican, she's not a rhino. I told her once, her, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're now the conservative squad. They're the counter to AOC and Presley and who's the other one?
God bless you, thank you.
Talib. So, real quick, before you leave,
the back. Thank you.
May 12th is our next event. This guy named is Nick Adams. He's President Trump's favorite author. He's been endorsed by several bigwigs: Sean Hannity, Alan West, Chuck Norris, several of them. Patrick Wamhoff over here knows him personally. So mark it down, May 12th, right here. Nick Adams, he's an Australian-American. He's President Trump's favorite author, and he was on the president's administration. Kyle Sims wants to say something real quick.
Guys, just a couple things real quick. I want to thank Shelley Luther and Tim for being here during our busy schedule. If y'all have not joined her page, go to couragetostand.com and join her. Give this picture some support. Second thing, I don't care if you have a quarter in your pocket or you got $10 in your pocket. These 2 brown boxes, this church houses all of our bills for free. We ask to take up offering from them. They still have bills paid. So if you can be generous to them, we appreciate it. Last thing is, if you're not involved, get your butt up and get involved. I'm one of the most hated men in Collin County. As you see me standing here talking.
Badge of honor.
I'm not going anywhere. If you need help to get involved, you give us Zach, myself, anybody on this board, we can get you involved. Thank y'all for coming.
And it's good to be hated.
Badge of honor. Hello, how are you? Good to see you.